young. Again, I was young. I didn't know how taxes worked back then. I was in for a shock of my life when they told me, I think my first year, well, do I want to put that on the internet? It doesn't really matter. It was a couple thousand. It was, and me, this like younger, I was like, I don't know, how old was I when I started making money on YouTube? 2019. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I have to pay that right now? So that is, you really have to, I can't stress it enough. If you are making money on the internet, you need to work with someone, whether it's a financial advisor, whether it's an accountant, whether it's your tax office. I work with my tax office, and after many years of doing it now, like, they know what to expect. They can look at my past tax returns, and I'm not doing anything new. Work with somebody who is going to help you. So what I do, and it works for me, I do estimated taxes. So that means that I pay my taxes quarterly to the IRS. So what is that, every 3 months, every 3 or 4 months I pay, and it feels like you're throwing money away. It does. It feels like you're just giving your money away, but it's because your money is not being taken out when you get your content creation paychecks. So, am I making sense? Like, when you have your W-2 job, the money's just taken out. Like, you don't really see it, so you sometimes don't even really think about it, right? Or you might, but it's easy to not think about it. So it doesn't feel like you're just giving money to the IRS. But when you do it this way, it does feel that way. But you have to do it. You have to do it. So, that's a whole topic that I feel like I could talk about for a while, but estimated taxes, it's what works for me, and you just gotta work with somebody. Even if you have a friend that is an accountant or whatever, have somebody in your corner to give you that knowledge, because taxes are confusing. And I will say now, tax offices are, because content creation is such a big thing now, and so many people are making money on the internet, they are getting with the times, and they're not as surprised. When I first started, it was very new, and I think I must have been one of the first ones in my tax office to like have these problems, because they like didn't know what to do with me at first. This was many years ago, and I was terrified. And even now, I think I have a little bit of trauma, because every time tax season comes around, even though I'm okay and I know how to do it now, I still get really nervous. So it's not something to take lightly, okay? So that's just something to think about. Alright, let's move away from money now. I would say something that people maybe don't realize is that when you do content creation, especially if you do it full time, there are no set hours, right? Whether you work for your W-2 job 8 to 5, 9 to 6, 10 to 7, whatever, your 8-9 hours, that's your in and out time. And if you're lucky, once your out time comes, you don't have to think about work anymore. With content creation, because you are your own boss, it's amazing to have that flexibility, right? But it almost always feels like you're working, especially if your content is filming your life, because you're always thinking. And when you're, say you're going on a trip and you're vlogging it, instead of just laying there, you're like, oh, what, like, your mind is always going, like, what camera shot can I do? I know that sounds stupid, and like, you don't, like, nobody's putting, I guess I shouldn't say that word on YouTube, no one's putting a to your head and making you do it, right? That's your decision. But when that's what makes you money, and that's your job, your full-time job, then you're gonna do it, and you're gonna figure out how to make it look the best it can be. But you don't get to turn it off. Like, even me, sometimes I'm up very late editing, and again, it's because I have a full-time job, so I go to the full-time job, then I come home and I do content, and then I edit. So again, nobody's making me do that. But that's just something that people don't realize, is that you can't just kind of like turn it off. And because there's no, like, you do have deadlines, but like, I put myself on a schedule. Somebody so it's hard to kind of turn it off. Especially if you are, like, if you're just doing it for fun, I think it's different. I think if you are doing it, it should always be for fun, but if you're doing it with the financial part of it at the forefront of your mind, it's very hard to turn it off. So that's something you may not realize. What else? You will get a lot of fake collaboration emails from fake companies that are very sketchy. I would say a day I get at least 15 to 20 emails about collaborating with a company. And if you look at my channel, how many do I really do? I get a sponsored video now, every 3 months maybe. And it's because I know how to, I just delete them all because I know that they're not real. Or, so what I'm saying is you have to be careful on what you click on. Or I get a lot of emails now that, like, companies want to collaborate with me but don't want to pay me, you know? And, like, yes, they want to send me something for free, and if it's something that I really could use or feel passionate about, okay, fine. But you also have to be your own advocate, and after over 10 years and almost 200,000 subscribers later, I'm really not in the market for doing free videos for companies. I'm just not. Unless it's something that I really, want to do or use or whatever. And that's just personal. That's different. That's going to be different for everybody. But some companies will try to take advantage. If it's like a brand deal for Instagram, for example, and if it's free, a lot of times I'll say no. But again, if it's something that I really feel passionate about, or something that I can use, or somebody that I can gift to somebody in my life, then I'm like, okay, like, let's talk about it. If I feel comfortable with it, we'll move forward. So that's the beauty of it. You can say no. But people could be very sneaky. That's just the business world, right? It just is what it is. So, I'm trying to think what else I could tell you. That's like the gist of what I wanted to say. And I don't want to sound like, I should have said this in the beginning, I'm not complaining. If I didn't like doing this, I would have stopped a long time ago, okay? I love it. I love what I do. I love creating things for you guys to watch. I love interacting with you in the comments and on Instagram and TikTok and all that. Like, I love it. Ever since I was younger. Oh, I don't know what that sound was. Ever since I was younger, I loved creating something that somebody else could watch. Always. Which now makes sense because now I do what I do. That's also part of my full-time job as well. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. Again, I really just wanted to bring awareness to these things because, again, I do feel like so many people, and really I'm talking to, like, young people that just all they want to do is be a content creator and be an influencer, and I don't think that they realize everything that there is to realize about it. One, because maybe their age. Two, because maybe people don't talk about it enough. So, just things to think about. But anyway, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I can always make a part 2 if you want. I can probably come up with other things, but that was the main gist. So, anyway, I hope that you enjoyed.